This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Coffee-fueled stories. Hello, hello, hello. It's me, Michelle, your host and pocket DJ of Coffee Fueled Stories, a show where storytelling and coffee hang out. This week's special guest is Laura Botten. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hi, Michelle. It is so good to be here. We've been Instagram buddies for, I think, like 2 or 3 years. And so it's so awesome to finally talk to you officially on your podcast. Thank you so much for making time for me.
Absolutely. Well, we actually met. So let's let the listeners know there's going to be a whole lot of Italian food, Italian things, because that's how we connected. We connected through Italian food, Italian things, and your book, A Recipe from Rome.
Right? Which is conveniently located right behind me through the magic of technology. Yeah, Italy has a way of bringing a lot of people together, I've noticed. Italian food has always been my favorite, so the fact that I have spaghetti on my book cover is like a dream come true.
I absolutely love that, because who doesn't I'm going to dare the listeners. I'm going to dare them to say you don't like spaghetti, because I have yet to meet a person who doesn't like spaghetti.
It's one of those classic comfort foods that you instantly just feel good eating. It satisfies your hunger and it tastes good, and you can make it in 10 minutes. So even the worst of chefs can prepare it.
Yeah, and it's cheap. It's not like you don't. Yeah. Anybody can do it. You can buy a pack of spaghetti and some sort of protein if you want to put a protein in there. Meatballs. I mean, meatballs aren't super expensive. I have a funny story that just popped into my head that I can't believe that I didn't think about this to tell you this. So my mom said I've always been a super eater. So I really relate to April Appleby.
Super eater.
Okay. I really relate to April Appleby, your main character. Mm-hmm. My mom said I would go through 3 jars of food, and she even called the doctor, and she's like, oh my God, she just eats all the time. And the doctor's like, just feed her. She's a baby.
Right. She's a growing child.
And my mom said that once it was time to start switching to real food,
adult food. Yeah.
My mom decided to stick spaghetti in the blender.
Okay, I kind of want to try that now as a 38-year-old. I have no shame. I would eat blended spaghetti right now. You heard it here first. I'm admitting this. You can quote me. I would eat blended spaghetti. That's how much I love spaghetti. Michelle, we might have a problem. We might need to go to Spaghetti's Anonymous, spaghetti eaters aholics, if that's a thing.
I can't breathe.
That's so funny though, because I always had such a big appetite too. I mean, I would go back for seconds, thirds, fourths. April Appleby is kind of loosely based on me. So I love that you said you relate to her, because she's kind of me. It's kind of sort of me.
I love it. And I was going to ask you, how much of April is in you and in this book? I know, because a lot of the times authors will, sprinkle themselves throughout other characters. But did you decide to just focus on April as being part of you?
Well, interestingly, the book started out as a travel memoir of my time in Rome. And so I wrote it, first person as my experiences with my friends out in Rome in 2019. We took a trip out there, visited Rome and Florence. And I wrote down so much that it would fit a book. I was like, this could be a book. And so I was going to go the travel memoir route. But after many revisions and talking with several different editors, I decided to rewrite it as a novel to fictionalize it. So it started out as me. It was Laura's trip to Rome. And then as it slowly became a novel, I, fictionalized some events and some of the characters, and I changed her identity to become April Appleby. But she started out as me, and I think that's why there's so much of me in her, because it was going to be nonfiction, and then last minute change, oh, let's make it fiction. So it took me a while. It took me 3.5 years to write it. And part of the reason is because I didn't know what genre to write it in. And I finally decided on fiction, kind of like a romantic comedy type of book. And I'm happy I did that. I think it's a lot better that way. I think the readers are going to appreciate this version more than just my time in Rome. Because, like, who am I? Like, who cares? So I wanted to dramatize it, make it a little more exciting.
By the way, I'm wearing my Cinque Terre shirt for you.
Ooh, that's a place I want to go. I love it.
But I went there, for me, it was a healing journey because I had just become a widow. So, and what a better place to find yourself and to come back to life. And we haven't really talked a lot about your book, but we're gonna go in there now because I just have to share this. And also, it was just my birthday last week.
Oh, that's right. Happy belated birthday. Your birthday dinner looked quite scrumptious, I must say. If we lived closer, I would have crashed your birthday party. That's all I'm saying.
Do you know how much pasta we had?
You can't make a small amount of pasta. If you decide to make pasta, you're eating that for like a week or two. And it's fine because it never gets old.
We still have leftovers.
I'm going to go buy a plane ticket after this interview and visit you and help you eat those leftovers.
Come hang out. Shrimp, pesto, pasta. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yummy.
Italian food, like if somebody said, what could you live off of? And I know you love pizza. And I love your dedication to, I thought it was just the cutest thing ever. And it made me laugh. And it says, to my mother, whose heart and kitchen are always full, and to anyone else who ever bought me pizza. Like, that is just, I'm like, yes.
If you ever want to become friends with somebody, buy them a pizza. They will be a friend for life. Who doesn't like free pizza? That's all I'm saying.
Like, tacos can, people love tacos too, but tacos can be picky because some people are like, well, I like carnitas and I like fish tacos and I like, carne asada. So, but pizza, you kind of can't go wrong with
universal.
Yes, absolutely.
Even the most basic of pizza, which is kind of what I prefer, like a margherita pizza, just some sauce, some cheese, some basil. Oh my gosh, like that is a perfect meal. Like why don't I eat one I want one right now. Like, I should have brought a pizza to this interview because I'm starving. It's lunchtime and I'm starving.
I feel bad too because I too did not eat. So I was reading your book and it was making me so hungry. Oh my God.
Sorry.
But in the best possible way because, again, April was eating the most amazing food in the most amazing place. And also Chicago. I mean, come on. Chicago is like foodie land as well.
Yeah.
So the fact that she has a podcast and eats and talks about food. I mean, come on.
She's basically you. Are we the same person? Like, I'm learning something really fascinating here. I think we're twins. I think it's happening. We're the same person. Yeah, but Chicago is like so proud of its food. I mean, from hot dogs to pizza, those are like the most obvious ones, but Italian beef sandwiches and Chicago is also very ethnically, there's all these different ethnic neighborhoods. So you have like Polish food here and, obviously Italian food here, Mexican food here. So yeah, we eat good over here. I'm in the suburbs, but I go to the city pretty regularly and we've got good eating all around. Like it's sort of torturous sometimes because I wish I had 12 stomachs. Because I just want to keep eating.
Right. Oh my God. The best pierogies. Okay. Do you know how hard it is to get pierogies? Like I grew up eating pierogies and people didn't know what pierogies were in Southern California. But now you can get frozen pierogies, thank goodness for that.
Right.
But I've only ever had cheese and potato. Like I don't know any other kind. And I would love to go to Chicago and just go on a pierogi crawl.
Well, so during the Taste of Chicago every summer, there is always a pierogi, table that I always hit up first because it is my favorite. It's from, I want to say Cassia's or Kasha's. I don't actually know how to pronounce it, but I think it's Kasia. And it is delectable pierogi. You will be happy for life if you just have one of these pierogi. And I have to go to that booth every year at the Taste of Chicago. I love pierogi. I'm part Polish, so it's in my blood.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite stories that my mom told me, and this is another reason I can really relate to April Appleby. I can't cook. Well, let me rephrase that. I can cook. When I cook, it just doesn't taste as good as when someone else cooks.
Yeah.
So in that way, I don't burn toast. Like I'm functional in the kitchen. So
Okay.
I'm not 100% like April, but I'm very much, I've gotten better. Let's just say that I've gotten better.
Yeah.
And Italy did help.
Okay, for me too, because I was the toast burner before I went to Italy. I couldn't make scrambled eggs. Like I could make cereal, which is not cooking. And then I went to Italy. We ate the best food in the world. We took a cooking class, just one little cooking class, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't that hard." Italians cook with few ingredients. Yes. They're fresh and they're simple and they taste good and you don't need to do a lot. And so it gave me some hope that I actually could cook. Like it wasn't that hard. So I went home, I bought a couple of cookbooks, Italian cookbooks, and started to actually be a little more confident in the kitchen. And now I can make some decent meals. I'm not like going to open up a Michelin star restaurant or anything, but I can throw together like a mozzarella chicken dish or a stuffed pepper, that tastes really yummy. And so Italy did that for me too. I think that's funny that it also made you a better cook too. Further proof that we're twins.
Yes. Okay. So it's okay. Again, this is why you had to come on this show. Like I said, there were just too many similarities and too many coincidences to just not. Same thing. Food to me was always I could eat a lot of it and it was perfunctory. And like I said, I went through phases where I ate because, like I said, I had to. I didn't want to. I lived off, I think for a year we lived off of hospital food, which was just sad. But, that was the reality. And the only reason I ate hospital food was because if I didn't eat hospital food, I wasn't eating.
Right.
So I lived off of grilled cheese sandwiches. And again, this pizza was not the best pizza, but it was pizza.
Yeah, it's pizza, It's pizza. I'm not going to turn it down.
No, I wasn't going to turn. I do have to say though, I did kind of take a pizza break for a little bit because just because it was association, but it had absolutely nothing to do with the pizza. It was just, I needed to be able. So when I went to Rome and I saw that amazing food, okay, is it not the coolest thing that they cut pizza with scissors?
I know. Right? Like, I really want to try that. I want to have special pizza scissors. Like, that's on my Christmas list for this year. Special pizza scissors. Because I don't know, where do you get that? Like, that can't just be regular scissors, is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a mystery to me.
I don't know. Oh my God. Yeah. So one of my favorite things to do was to go to the pizza place and get pizza for breakfast. So I would go and have a coffee at the little cafe and then walk down the street and go get a slice of pizza and then a slice to take home for later because that was dessert.
Oh my God. Okay, you are officially my hero. Pizza as dessert. I'm honestly surprised that I've never thought of that, but now that you've thrown that out there, like, that is a game changer, okay? Okay. Regular pizza, right? Like, I've had, like, the pizza cookie, where it's like a giant cookie in the shape of pizza, but it's not pizza. You're talking, like, straight up pizza.
It was pizza. It was like the
pizza.
It was like focaccia style bread.
Oh,
yummy. And it had, I don't even remember. My favorite, like I said, my favorite thing to do was to go to this little pizza shop down the street. And I would just point and just be like, one of that, one of that, one of that, one of that. And so my friend, the guy that I stayed with, my buddy, he is seriously my brother that I never had. he would cook. He took care of me, and his family was so happy that I was there so that he could take care of me. Like we both rescued each other. Like it was an amazing trip for both of us. He would cook steak and vegetables in like an iron skillet, right? And then after we had steak and vegetables, that's I would be like, "Hey, guess what?"
I still have a little room left. Let's go get some pizza.
We would share a slice of pizza.
I love that. You know what? Pizza, it can be like, okay, I like my pizza sauce a little on the sweeter side, and my editor thought that was so weird because she is Italian and she was like, "What are you talking about, a sweet sauce?" Like my mom and my grandmother, they would put sugar in their spaghetti sauce. And when I started to like kind of make my own pizzas when I came home from Rome, tried to mimic that a little bit and sweeten it a little bit. So you can totally have like a sweet kind of semi-sweet sauce on your pizza, and that's a dessert. If you're adding sugar, that's a dessert.
I mean, you know what? Essentially, why not eat pizza 3 times a day?
I just love that it's like after a steak dinner. Like you just had like a huge, satisfying dinner, and you're like, let's have some bread and cheese now. like I have more room. Again, I could do that also. We are the same. I love you. Like this is ridiculous.
And the craziest thing is we ate and ate and ate, but I didn't gain it. I actually lost 4 pounds.
Isn't that amazing?
Because you walk everywhere.
You walk everywhere, and there's hills and stuff. It's not like you're walking like over here, everything's flat.
Yes.
So it's not really that difficult, but you've got some hills, you've got like ancient ruins to climb over. Yeah, like you're walking pretty much everywhere. And also the ingredients that they're cooking with.
Yes.
Like yeah, they eat a lot of bread and pasta, but they also eat a lot of fish and stuff too, which is very lean. But even the pastas, everything is so fresh. There's no like processed foods. There's no like packaged foods. There's no additives. No. So I think like I was amazed too. I'm like, no one is out of shape here. And I'm eating pasta every day.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Right? We ate pasta and bruschetta and prosciutto. Like I said, you nailed it. The food is 100% fresh. It's all local. It's farm,
yes.
Like the farm, you're surrounded by farms, and they don't have preservatives. I mean, obviously when you go to the Sulla Maria, right?
Right.
I can never pronounce that, but I was like the salami shop.
I like that better.
The place where the meat hangs.
Right.
Oh my God.
Which is just heaven, basically. I want to go to one of those cheese places where there's just like stacks of Parmesan cheese on the walls. That's where I want to go. The next time I go to Italy, I want to go to a cheese place. I don't know what the term is. I'm going to call it a cheese place. But that would be magic.
Have you noticed how Coffee Fueled Stories doesn't have any ads? That's because I work tirelessly to keep this show alive. After 3 years on my own, I've decided I need to ask for your help. I've never asked anyone to subscribe. I've never asked anyone to leave a review. I've never asked anyone to rate the show. And I've never asked anyone to pay to listen. There are a few ways you can help support the show. I've created a Patreon page, Coffee Fueled Stories, and a subscription section on my podcast website. It's simple to support and help me keep my dream alive. Just click the link in the show notes to set up your paid subscription option. It's that easy. Thank you for your support. Do you watch so my Instagram knows that I pretty much all my feed is Italian things. So it's Italian comedians, sometimes Irish comedians, because I do love, like, sometimes their humor is just spot on. But my feed is mostly Italy, people and food, and cats. So
yeah, we are very similar. I have a lot of Italy, cats, a couple of comedians. I think I need to add some more comedians in there, and a lot of books. I'm a book nerd, so you know. But yeah, I you can get lost in the Instagram scroll. Like if you find the right pages, I mean, oh, an hour went by and I'm just staring at my phone. Like it's a little bit terrifying. But yeah, I do like to follow easy recipe pages, and cats, of course. I've got two cats. I have them locked out of the room right now because they're insane. And I could just see them like knocking over the microphone and like typing some email to somebody without my knowledge of it. So they're locked away, but I love cats too. And there's a cat in my book who is based on my old cat who sadly just died earlier this year. She was 20 years old. But as a cat person, I don't travel a whole lot. And when I do, I'm always so guilty leaving the cat behind, especially because they make it a point to like jump into your suitcase, like to guilt you. When you're trying to pack, they're like, oh, you're packing and you're going somewhere without me? I'm gonna just sit in here for a while and prevent you from packing. So that's what she did. So the cat that's in the book, April Appleby's cat, is totally my old cat. Just grumpy, chubby, lovable.
Oh, that's adorable. Okay, so here we go. Again, here's another coincidence. We too lost our cat earlier this year. So
It's hard.
it is hard. So I'm sorry
Yeah.
for your loss.
Thank you.
And so we've got a crazy kitten. So I don't know what we were thinking, but so if it looks like I have some dark circles, it's because he kept us up for 3 hours last night. And,
I
you
feel
know,
your pain.
and so the fact that yes, he too is locked out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, if I had my old cat, the 20-year-old cat, it would be no problem. She would be sleeping in another room and she wouldn't even care that I was in this house. But with mine are kittens also. They just turned 1, and so they are crazy. Amazingly though, they let me sleep at night. I have like a bedtime. I'm so old. I go to bed at like 10 every night. I usually read for half an hour. They jump in the bed with me, and as soon as lights out, they zonk out and they sleep through the night until it's like 6 a.m. and then they wake me up for breakfast.
Oh my God.
I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. During the day, however, they're literally hanging from curtains or window screens or just generally jumping over the couch and like walking on the laptop and just being crazy. But at night, oh my God, they sleep like 8 hours every night. It's insane.
Oh
It's
my
like,
God.
it's a miracle.
Oh. Well, you need to send some of that kitty juju to our guy
Yeah.
because he is, and so we just got him ping pong balls.
Ooh, fun idea.
He
That's
started
hilarious.
he started playing with the ping pong ball at 10 o'clock. So quiet hours here start at
Oh
10.
yeah.
And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not lying, it was 10:23.
Mm-hmm.
And all you hear was bing, 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 and I'm like, oh shit.
That's adorable though. I'm picturing that. That's a great cat toy.
It
Mine,
is.
mine will ping pong like a candy wrapper ball because food, I also have a sweet tooth. If I just suddenly have like a bag of Hershey Kisses or something, I'll make a foil ball that's like way too big because I had way too many. And I'm like, all right, cat toy. And they love those things. They lose it under the couch within a minute, but for that minute, Michelle, oh, they are so happy.
Love it. Okay, so I think we should probably maybe let me ask you some questions about your book.
Okay. Yeah, I think we forgot why we're here. And that's fine. I'm having fun.
Me too, me too.
I
I'm
like
like,
being on your show.
I'm like, let's just hang out, talk cats and pasta. I'm like, I'm down for that. And pierogies. Okay, so you answered some of the questions. So can you cook? Are you cook? And what is your signature dish? So that's the part I don't have.
Ooh. I think I would actually say my mozzarella chicken is my signature dish. It's something that is a crock pot dish. I love my crock pot. If I could marry an object, I would marry my crock pot because you put everything in there and you just walk away. And then like 5, 6, 7 hours later, there's a delicious meal just waiting for you. It's a magic machine. So you put in some chicken breasts, you season it with some garlic, some salt and pepper, maybe some basil, whatever you want, oregano, whatever. and then you throw on a bunch of sauce and you can make it yourself, or if you want to cheat and just buy your favorite sauce in a jar for to save some time, which maybe I do sometimes. Throw that over there and you let it cook. I like to cook it on slow because I feel like it makes it really tender where you don't even need a knife to eat it. And then within the last maybe like 10, 20 minutes, you pour on a boatload of mozzarella cheese. I usually do some shredded mozzarella, let it melt in there. And then while it's melting, you can cook some penne pasta or some rigatoni, whatever you want. And then you have some chicken with some delicious sauce and mozzarella cheese and some pasta on the side. You sort of mix the sauce into the pasta, and it's easy, it's delicious. It's like 4 or 5 ingredients, it's really, really simple. And I make that quite a bit. And it's like a meal that impresses people, but secretly it's so easy that I'm like, oh yeah, I totally slaved over this, but I didn't. Like, it was the easiest thing in the world. So I think that's probably my signature dish because I make it a lot and it impresses people. And now they know that it's not actually hard to make, but but still, I'll call that my signature dish. And stuffed peppers would be another one. It's not an Italian dish, but something about just like a big old bell pepper. I love bell peppers, whether it's raw, cooked, whatever. Stuff some meat in there with, mixed in with cheese or beans or corn or whatever else. Top it with some shredded cheese or some sour cream or some salsa. That's another thing that I make a lot too. Another crock pot dish, actually. I make those stuffed peppers in the crock pot.
Oh, wow.
Again, I love my crock pot.
Okay, so I'm going to need to get a crock pot because that is the one thing I am missing from my life.
Yeah. It'll change your life.
We will do the chicken in the oven. We'll like half cook it in the oven and then kind of let it rest so it's still kind of cooking a little bit more. And then I'll slice it up and then I'll char it on the stove to kind of give that grill kind of to it.
I like that.
So we're kind of a team because like I said, I don't cook. I call it, I'm the sous chef and I'm the finisher. I do like all of the prepping and then I do the final part, which is, like I said, cutting the chicken. So it's already been cooking. So usually what happens is I'll be in here doing my thing and then she's out there cooking the chicken nice and slow in the oven. And then, when I'll be done in here and then the chicken's out and she's like, okay, the chicken's resting. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to let it rest for a few more minutes. And then, choppa, and then grill. And then, or we'll let it rest and then put it in the refrigerator. And then when we get ready to eat, that's when I'll grill. I'll be like, okay, are you hungry? We eat grandma dinner.
Me too. I eat by like 5:30 p.m. and I'm like, all right, I'm set now. I like read for a few hours. I'm like knitting a blanket and I'm in bed by like 9. Yeah. Well, if I eat too late, I can't sleep. And I know this is an interesting cultural thing because if you go to Europe, they're having dinner at like 9, 10 p.m.
Yeah.
But I can't do that. Like I have to eat by it's usually like 5 or 6 p.m. And then I try not to eat anything for the rest of the night, which I sometimes don't really do. Sometimes I snack on the Hershey Kisses to make the cat toys, But yeah, I have an early dinner usually.
Well, they also don't wake up at like us at 5 a.m.
True.
They're coming home sometimes at that time. So they're like, no, we are not going to wake up. Like I remember, so when I stayed at my buddy's house, so the motorinos, right, would go by the window. There was like a freeway right outside his window of where he lived. Mm-hmm. And I would hear the motorinos and the cars and the ambulance, and they would just be going all night long, Laura, all night long. And I was just like, oh my God, don't these people ever sleep?
For real though, it's an interesting, they have a totally different circadian rhythm, totally different lifestyle. I mean, and if you're not aware of it or prepared for it, you're like, sort of whiplash. It gives you whiplash.
It is. Like I came home, went back home to Orange County and I was like, oh, there's silence.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an adjustment. For sure.
It is. So, in addition to walking, the food, like the time change, things of that nature, like there is a sound cultural difference. Like you really do have to adjust. And we did. Like I said, I was we were eating dessert, pizza for dessert, and
Still my favorite part of this entire interview.
girl, it'll change your life. Okay, how about this? Because we haven't really talked a lot about the book. That was the first question that I had from my notes.
That's why I put the background on. I'm like, I know we're going to get sidetracked. So let's just have this in the background.
So I really do want to ask you these questions.
And I want to answer them.
Okay.
But you mentioned pizza for dessert, so this is all your fault.
I'll take the blame for that. I'll own that. Okay. So not only do I relate to your main character, April Appleby, but your mom I can only relate to your mom in this way because I don't cook, but your mom is a coffee fiend. And I love that she had her 6th coffee of the day.
Yeah. I feel like coffee is one of those beverages that people live or die by, you know? And so April Appleby's mother is sort of like a mix of like my mom, my grandmother, just, you know, a few different people. But my grandmother would drink coffee just like nonstop. She was just like throwing them back all day long. There was just constant coffee brewing at my grandmother's house. So that's kind of where that was influenced from. I myself, I don't really drink coffee. Oh my God, can I say that on this show?
Yes,
I've had it.
It's fine.
I had my first espresso in Rome and it was delicious. I was surprised. I thought it was going to taste like tar. But I added a lot of sugar, of course, but it was good. It was really good. So, you know, I can have certain types of coffee beverages.
Of course. Yeah. It's okay. I always say it's not a prerequisite that you have to be a coffee lover or a coffee drinker to be on the show. It's okay. I don't take it personally. I don't take it personally. I'll drink all the coffee for both of us, so it's okay.
See, that works out. I'll give you my mug of coffee.
I'm totally fine with that. These are so like this quote, like seriously. Okay, so I have dedication is awesome. I love your dedication regarding the pizza. And then mastering the role of an Oompa Loompa. Yes. Yeah. LOL, me too.
You know, we were mentioning how, you know, we both had really good appetite to this day. And, you know, that's been one thing that's been like a constant struggle for me in my life is, you know, stop eating when you're full. Like if you're full, you don't have to eat anymore, but everything tastes so good. So that is definitely pulled from my own personal experiences of just, you know, when you grow up in a family where they cook delicious home cooked meals all the time, and there's plenty to go around and nobody's telling you to stop eating. It can be difficult. So there have been some struggles in my life, Michelle, with with overeating.
I can totally relate. Your book, page 243. I have a post-it here because this is why you are here. So here's to friendships. Oh, actually, do you have the book?
I do.
Can you please read the last paragraph where it starts, here's to friendships. That's a lot of the paragraph to read, but can you read? I would love it if you read that for us.
I'll be happy to read it. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's to friendships, the old ones that feel comfortable and nostalgic, and the new ones that are exciting in their limitless possibilities. Here's to good food and its power to corral people together around a table. Here's to the meals and memories born of family recipes. Here's to seeing the world, visiting places so different from our own that they alter our perceptions of life. Here's to being connected to humanity through layers of history that run centuries deep. Here's to drinking wine before noon, wet mozzarella, olive oil as thick as maple syrup, sugar dissolving in dark espresso, and fresh citrus. Here's to getting your hands dirty and letting raw egg run down your fingers. Here's to Parmesan so flavorful it doesn't need to be sprinkled on something to be enjoyed. Here's to tiny cars and fast scooters. Here's to meeting a part of yourself that you didn't know existed. Here's to Rome.
Yes. Okay. Like that is it's perfect. And that's why I had
Thank
that
you.
posted on there. I was just like, oh my God, yes. It's because the food is amazing. The city itself is amazing. The cars, the motorinos. I don't know, how many accidents did you see while you were there?
Amazingly, none, but I thought we were going to be in one like every 5 minutes. We were cruising around in this big like tour bus. It was me and a big group of like American tourists. And so we were like on the main roads in this big bus, and these tiny little scooters were like zipping past us, like weaving through traffic, like I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna die. But they didn't. I think they're just used to it. I did see some interesting, very creative parking happening out there. There is no parking at all. And the cars are really tiny and really cute because there's no parking. And the streets are small. It's an old place. It's ancient. And so, they weren't envisioning like motor cars when the ancient Romans were building the streets. So, yeah, I saw a lot of interesting parking spots. Like people were parked on sidewalks illegally. There were cars that were like wedged in like horizontally instead of like, so you have parallel parking, but then you have a car that's like, oh, I can't really fit into that spot, but I can if I put my front bumper along the curb, So it's like turned the other way. So I'm just glad that like we weren't attempting to drive because I would have been so panicky. We were getting chauffeured around in a bus half the time and walking the other half the time. And yeah, the driving out there is pretty nuts.
That 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 is the one thing I did not do. I pretty much did most things, stayed up late. So I know you're not a coffee drink, but supposedly you're not supposed to order a cappuccino past 11. It's
Right.
considered a morning drink. I love cappuccino all hours of the day. It's
Yeah.
my favorite drink, and I'm in freaking Rome where they created the freaking drink. So I'm gonna drink it all day,
Every
every,
hour.
and I think the only reason I got away with it is because I'm American.
Yeah, probably. They were like, oh, she's American. She doesn't know. Let her have the cappuccino.
But it's all good. So, like I said, I think the only reason I got away with ordering cappuccino is because, like I said, I was an American, and they cut me all kinds of slack. But if I saw somebody kind of give me the look, I would be like, doppio espresso, prego.
Yeah. You
Like,
could you could sort of talk your way out of it.
yeah, I was like, sorry, changed my mind. Double espresso.
Just kidding.
Didn't mean to offend. Okay. So, let's get back to this is where I say I have a lot in common with April. I'm not the best cook, but I can, I'm damn good at eating. So,
Right. That's what really counts.
that's what really counts. And then, okay, you're not gonna believe this. This is hilarious. I didn't start reading your book until this weekend. So I
Mhm.
had already had my birthday celebration. This is what I had for my birthday. On my
Oh my
birthday,
gosh. I love that.
I had pizza, and we watched Labyrinth because Brandy had never seen Labyrinth.
Oh my God. Yeah. Labyrinth. Oh my, I forgot that was in the book.
You
For
reference it
anybody that,
twice.
yeah, for anybody that doesn't know of the film Labyrinth, David Bowie's masterpiece from the 1980s, please stop listening to this episode. Come back to it later, but go watch Labyrinth right now and then come back and listen to the rest of this interview. Yeah, my best friend in high school, who Simon Becker is kind of loosely based on, he and I would watch that all the time. We were both like music nerds. We loved classic rock. I still do. And so that was one of those like cult classic films that once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
I had it on VHS. It was either a birthday present or a Christmas present. I don't remember. It came out in 1986. The movie came out in
Mhm.
1986. So I had it on VHS. I'm an only child, and so I would come home, and my favorite thing to do was to pop in that tape and watch the Goblin King doing his thing.
That is hilarious.
again, I was just like, oh my God, there are so many coincidences in your life, in this book, in my life. I'm like, this is
That
insane.
makes me so happy because I love reading, and I know you love reading too. And there's something so special about when you read a book written by, a complete stranger, and you are like, oh my gosh, this book was written for me. Like, you can relate to all these quirky little details or whatever feelings are described or situations are described. I mean, that's like the true magic of reading and the true magic of books is there is so much, even though it's a novel, even though this is fiction, there is so much real truth in there. The human emotion and the connection of the characters, like that's real. And I'm so happy to hear that you connected to that and related to that.
Oh my God. Yeah. And okay, my friends and I were music nerds. Say the same thing. We knew we would read the liner notes on
Yes,
records.
me
Okay.
too.
Okay, dude. And okay, so now you are a voice, you do voice acting. Is that the correct term?
Yes, yes.
And you are also a radio, is it, well, you're a DJ or a broadcaster? What is the correct term?
So I was a DJ until about COVID. And now I strictly do voiceovers for my home studio, mostly commercial voiceovers, but I've also voiced some audiobooks. I'm currently turning my book, A Recipe from Rome, into an audiobook, and I hope that comes out. It will come out later this year. I just don't know the date yet. But mostly I do commercial voiceovers. And I've done some other like online tutorial voiceovers. I've done telephone prompts, for so and so, press 2 or whatever. So I am always just like in the studio on a microphone, recording and editing audio. I'm kind of a radio nerd that way. I studied broadcasting in college. And from there, went to work at US 99 in Chicago. It's a big country station. I worked there for over 10 years, doing pretty much everything under the sun, including going on the air as a DJ, but also doing production and voiceover. And now I do all that from a home studio. So that's my main job. And then I just decided to randomly write a book on the side because that's not crazy.
Okay. All I ever wanted to be was a radio DJ. So I love your life. Like you have no idea. Like I went, okay, radio broadcasting, my dream degree. LOL. I'm like, April, you like the whole
Oh
reason
my
I
God,
started this podcast was because I just wanted to talk with people
you're
in a
literally making
microphone
me
with headphones.
cry.
You have my life. Like I would have been your best friend
Well, we
forever.
can be best friends now. I mean,
Okay. I kind of feel like that already happened.
yeah, no, it is happening. I always used to listen to the radio. I mean, I still do listen to the radio. It's changed a lot.
Yeah.
There's not as many live shows anymore, but we don't need to get into that. But the magic of radio, there's a magic to books and there's a magic to radio too, where the mystery voice comes on the air and you feel like that person is your friend and they're playing you your favorite songs and they're making you laugh and they're entertaining you and they're keeping you informed and everything. And I just always loved the DJs of so many Chicago radio stations. And I remember when I was, a junior or a senior in high school, and I had to start thinking about college and thinking about what I was going to major in, I thought, well, radio, like let's do radio. And everybody was so shocked in my family because I was always so shy and so quiet. People used to think I was mute, like I couldn't talk. I could, I just never would. And so I remember when I told my family, yeah, I'm going to study radio broadcasting, they were so surprised. But that's a huge love of mine is radio.
Yeah.
And music too, it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah. Like, so same thing. My mom, like, she was like, no, you're not going to be a DJ. And I was just like, but mom, like, I can go to school for this. Like, it's not just, you go.
Yeah.
My mom just saw me going down a debaucherous path, I think is what she thought.
I can
And
understand that.
but I'm not that. I'm like, I drink coffee. I hang out at,
Yeah.
I write poetry all day at the coffee shop. Do you really
Yeah.
think I'm going to be debaucherous? I don't think
Right.
so. But
No, it's true.
nonetheless,
There are people in the industry that it can go either way because I'm the same as you. Like I don't dabble in all that kind of stuff. That's just not who I am. But I saw other people in the radio industry do that kind of stuff, and I just sort of was on the other side of that. But My mom was always and continues to be so supportive of everything that I've ever done. I always feel like I have decided to do crazy things like majoring in radio broadcasting. It's not a stable field. Radio broadcasting is not a stable field. And even now it's even worse. It's very difficult to break into because there's fewer and fewer live on-air positions. Everything is merging, so there's just fewer positions in general. So I kind of was lucky that I got into radio when I did, because shortly after that, things started to downsize tremendously. But even like doing an independent book, that's not easy either. And Michelle, you've done that too. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That takes time and money and effort. And my mom was supportive of that too. So I've always kind of chosen like really difficult, unstable things to do. But I think as creatives, that's what we do. Like, we don't want to like look at spreadsheets. We want to have fun.
Oh my God, thank you for saying that because, okay, when I was in the Air Force, I worked in a warehouse. I was in supply. And so basically I stocked shelves, I pulled orders and I stocked shelves and I drove a forklift. Like that was my job. Then what happens is they promote you. And when you get promoted, you then work at the desk job. Then you are responsible for all the little worker bees that were doing what you just did. And I was like, don't ever promote me.
Yeah. I want to drive the forklift.
Yes. And they were like, what is wrong with, and I was like, if you stick me in a desk for 6 hours, I'm going to fall asleep. And I said, the best little worker that you have right now is going to become the worst worker you ever have. Do not stick me at a desk. I will die. And say, like, every job I've ever had, I literally say, I'm like, so how much time do you sit at a computer? And they're like, oh, well, you're going to be running around. You're going to be doing, and I was like, running around?
Sign me up. But it's good to know your limits and your weaknesses and your strengths and your interests, because whatever you're interested in, you're going to be good at. At least that's what I think. Even within the radio broadcasting field, there was a time when I was like going out to live broadcast, setting up all the equipment, and I couldn't do that. I was like, I don't know what wire goes where. I know what buttons to push in the studio, and I know how to talk into the mic, and I know the music, but I don't know how to engineer the setup, and I had to go to my boss and say, like, you can't have me on live remotes anymore on site because I don't know how to do it and I don't want to do it and it's going to be bad. So all I got from your story there is like, you're recognizing what you want and you want to go for that instead. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Also, forklifts. Like, I want to drive a forklift one day.
Okay. I'm not going to
While eating pizza dessert.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to have to send you a picture. So I actually have one picture of me on a forklift. Her name was Bessie May, and she was awesome. We had to be certified to drive. Like, there's different types of forklifts, and I was able to drive up to, it's called a 20K. And so it just means 20,000 pounds. And I swear,
that's extremely heavy. Wow. You said it like it was no big deal. Like, oh, it's just 20,000 pounds. Like, whoa. Okay.
The coolest thing is, basically, we can move buildings with these forklifts.
That's insane.
And I'm little. I'm only 5'4", and I probably weighed like maybe 115, 120, like at my most in the Air Force. So tiny, pretty tiny.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing to do was to pull up in one of the 20K, pull up in the big 20K and jump off, because I had to jump off. I had to climb up and jump off. And I would jump off. I'd be like, where you want it? And the guys would just look and they're like, that's a little girl and a big boy. And I'm like, I got this.
Yeah, I got this.
I got this. Like, where you want it?
I can see you like slapping on a bumper sticker on your forklift. I got this. 5'4", I got this.
I got this. But it made me, it helped with my confidence, because again, I was, as a little person, we have to ask for help if we can't reach the top shelf. We need step stools, and so and some of the guys that I worked with were really tall and really big and buff, and then here's little old me, and I was like, I can move this house.
Right.
Like,
Nothing can stop me. I've always liked the phrase tiny but fierce. And I kind of feel like that's me too. Like I'm, kind of on the thinner side and I'm a little taller than you, but like people I think underestimate me sometimes. Like I work out, I know you work out, and so I like the phrase tiny but fierce. I think I
Yes.
saw it on a t-shirt somewhere someday and I thought I wish I had bought that because I kind of feel like that's me sometimes. So, and I'm also really quiet too, and so people are surprised when I can achieve like these big things or go for these big dreams and the quiet girl in the corner is doing this. Like, whoa, the quiet girl in the corner is moving that forklift. What? Tiny
Okay.
but fierce.
Okay, so you'll appreciate this because again, this is where voice comes into play. I same very introverted. I won't be the only I will not talk. If you put me in a room with like 20 people, I'm in the corner, I'm not talking.
Hmm.
But if you and I go and sit and have a cup of coffee, I will talk, and if I get excited, I will sound like Sam Kinison. That's how loud and fast and hard I can talk. And I either go from very quiet
Hmm.
and demure to Sam Kinison. I don't have anything in between. So it's probably a good thing I'm not
Right.
doing what you're doing because I would have so, I would, I would probably get fired. So that's the best spaghetti in the world.
But no, there is something about that, how introverts can be extroverted about things they're passionate about. So we can talk until we're blue in the face about something that means something to us. But if it's small talk or if it's something we're just not interested in, yeah, we're in the corner petting the cat, eating the pizza, and let the party go on over there until something of interest comes up for us.
Totally, totally. I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so a couple more questions. Like I said,
Lay 'em on me.
okay, hang on. So I'm checking my notes. Okay, so we got to the labyrinth part. I already told you that I had pesto pasta for my birthday dinner.
Yummy. Yes.
Um, okay, so biscotti and sfogliatelli. Are those not the two, like the Italians have done the best things to cookies,
Mm-hmm.
pastries, and noodle. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Biscotti and
Carbs in general. Like I feel like
yes,
it's and
yes.
my editor was saying because I was writing this from a very carb heavy culinary perspective
Oh
because that's what I
yeah.
love. But my editor was saying like it's not just carbs, it's not just bread and pasta. There's fish and there's meat and there's, a lot of pork dishes and I'm like, yeah, I know, but tiramisu and biscotti and yummy stuff. I love carbs. That's just my favorite thing on the planet. Just give
Yes.
me all the carbs. Yeah, they have totally perfected it. I feel like, so I've never been to France, but I feel like French pastries are also, you know, really on point. Like they know what they're doing too. You know,
Yeah. Uh,
I would like to go there and just do like a pastry tour.
oh my God. Seriously.
Eat
Just go
nothing
on
but
a
pastry.
croissant crawl. Croissant crawl.
A croissant crawl, yes. That sounds amazing.
Right?
That's got to be a thing. And if it's not, we should start it.
We should start it. But to your point, do you ever hear anybody saying, "I'm gonna go to Rome and I'm gonna eat fish"?
Right. Well, and the thing is,
No.
I think it's more like the coastal towns. So, like, you're wearing
Well,
your
yeah.
Cinque Terre shirt. If you're on
Right.
the coastal towns, obviously there's fish in the water. Um, and so we didn't have a lot of fish in Rome or in Florence. It's interesting, like each region is known for certain things. Naples is known for their pizza, for example. Like I would love to go to Napoli and
Yes.
just eat all the pizza. And I think I heard that cannoli was invented in Sicily. I'm not
Yes.
totally sure. And then there's like different cheeses in different regions too. So it's really interesting that you could have a totally different culinary experience in a different Italian city.
Yes.
I would
And
love to do that too. Like
and
we're doing culinary vacations.
yes, 100% true. So I had never been to a Michelin restaurant
Hmm.
until going to Cinque Terre, and we stumbled onto it. We stumbled, and it was the best seafood on the
I bet it
planet.
was. And
Oh
I'm
my
not a
God.
seafood fan at all, but when you get good seafood, fresh seafood,
Yes.
it's worth it. Like it'll turn you into a fan.
Yes. So I love calamari, right? Who doesn't
Hmm.
love fried calamari? I usually never eat the tentacle part. I always eat the
Yeah.
little ring part.
Hmm.
Okay, so my buddy and I, he's like, no, he's like, we are not wasting this plate because it had both. It had the rings and the tentacles. And he's like, no, you're gonna eat this. And I was like, all right. Oh my God, those little crispy, crunchy tentacles were so good.
So Lent just happened, and my brother and my mom and I were doing like fish fries every Friday. And I told you, we're not really like seafood fans. And so, but my brother likes seafood, so he was making us try like lobster and king crab something or other, and I was really trying to love it, but I feel like I had enough fish to last me at least all year, maybe my lifetime. But your description of the calamari, the crispy calamari, that I could definitely go for.
Oh,
Yes.
I ate seafood that I had never eaten before. They had
Mm,
these little baby fish, skinny
yeah.
little fish, and they deep fried them. And they put a little bit of olive oil and Parmesan cheese. And
Yeah,
they
that
now
sounds
you
amazing.
usually you're not supposed to do fish and cheese, right? But
Unless you're us.
but that's how they served it there. Like, I'm gonna have to
I'm
send you
on
these
board.
pictures. I'm gonna have
I
to send
see
you these
nothing wrong
pictures.
with fish and cheese.
Oh my God. It was, and like I said, I had never experienced seafood like
Hmm.
this until going to Cinque Terre. And like you said, that's what they're known for.
Yeah.
And I had to go with an open mind too,
Hmm.
because I didn't want to, because so basically you would go there and they pretty much told you what you're gonna eat.
Hey, that makes it easy. I'm indecisive, so I can approve that.
So they like you get there and you're like the specials, what are your specials? And like, I bring you. And you're like, okay.
All right. That's awesome.
And they would
Just trust us. We got this.
that's
We're going to tell you what you're going to eat.
so there's this one place my buddy took me downtown Rome. And he said, okay, I wish we would have filmed this. He said, you're gonna die. This is gonna be the best experience of your life. And I was like, okay, bring it. So we get to the restaurant. The guy recognizes my friend. And he says, do you like pasta? Yes. Do you like white sauce? Yes. Do you like meat? Yes. Okay, I make for you. And he like runs off. And
Oh, that's fun.
so I was like looking at the menu, and my buddy goes, no, 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 put the menu down. Put the menu. You're gonna offend him. And I was like, oh, okay, okay. So I put the
That's
menu down.
crazy.
I guess basically, if I would have said no, I don't like white sauce, he probably would have said, okay, you like red sauce.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. We didn't have that conversation. It was you like this, and this. Okay, I
You
make for
liked
you.
everything out of the gate.
He came back with the best plate of. I'm assuming it was fettuccine alfredo. I don't even know what it was. I don't know. I don't
But it
know,
was good.
but it was deliciousness.
That's awesome.
And the same, so again, and that's what he was like, the Italian, he's like, these guys, this is what they do. I just, the best, like I said, the best stories, the best time.
Hmm.
And it was all over good food, good experiences. So that's why, so thank you for reading that little section, because that is
My
truly
pleasure.
like how I felt reading your book, connecting with you and my experience with Rome. On page 213, you have food is love.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with that, because my mom, I just remember her growing up and her making this food, and it just made me so happy. And then the
So
sweetest, my
dishes can be so comforting, right? They can bring
right?
you back to your childhood. It's
Yes,
powerful.
it is. And then my mom did the sweetest thing. Brandy, so she's not a practice, she doesn't practice Judaism, but she grew up in a Jewish household. And
Hmm.
my mom loves Jewish food. And so my mom made Christmas and Hanukkah from scratch, dude.
Nice.
From
That's awesome.
scratch. Like it was the sweetest thing. Like
Hmm.
and she had never, no one had ever done that for her. No one had
Hmm.
ever. So the two of us just sat there, and like I was trying so hard not to cry, because it
Yeah,
was
that's
just
really special.
magic. And
Yeah,
it's true. It is.
it
Food is
is.
magical.
Well, when you prepare a meal, it takes, I mean, this is why I think maybe you and I have struggled with it. Like it takes time and thought, and you want it to taste good, obviously. And usually if you're cooking, it's for somebody else or maybe for a group. Like rarely do I take the time to just bust out an amazing meal just for me. So it's like it's a social thing. You're trying to like bring people together and enjoy an experience together. So you put a lot of love into it. It
Yeah.
sounds cheesy, but like love is the main ingredient in a lot of really good dishes.
Yeah.
I mean, the dishes that my grandma used to make, that my mom used to make as a kid, like there was a ton of love in there and sometimes a ton of cheese. So, but you got both, you know?
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, and I think that's what it is. Like when I'm cooking for myself, if I'm making something for myself, there's not a whole lot of love in it because I'm just eating.
You're just
'cause
hungry.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
like I'm gonna eat it. I just need to eat. I just need food input now.
exactly.
So
Well, and it's an interesting thing too. Like if you think about, when you meet up with a friend, it's usually over a meal. If maybe somebody like, maybe you have a friend who had a death in the family. What do? You bring them a casserole. Food can be like the center of really pivotal moments in a person's life, good and bad. A birthday, you have a birthday cake, or you go out for a birthday dinner. Like there's always food at the center of these really loving moments. And so that's what I was getting at with food is love. And I think you totally picked up on that. And I'm glad you did because it's a really short sentence, but it just puts it out there exactly what it is, Food is love.
yes, and okay, the best part about eating in Italy is you sit for hours.
Yes, and you talk and you don't rush through it and you're not pushed out either. You're not like, there's not a waiter that's like, okay, have you paid me yet? Totally different vibe. You get to actually enjoy your meal. Shocking. Like, it's a nice experience.
Yes. Oh my God. My buddy and I would sit for like 4 hours. We would sit at
Yeah.
this little cafe and we would start with snack because they would bring you like some sort of little snacky snack. And so we'd start with a snack and an appetizer, or in my case, like I wanted a coffee because that was how I would start my meal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd order an espresso. We'd have the little snack. Sometimes it was potato chips or nuts or something like that. And then after about an hour and a half, we'd kind of, "Oh, hey, you hungry? Yeah, I could share something. You want to share something? Yeah, let's share something. Okay." So then we order some food. And then they
Mm-hmm.
bring the food. And then we have some more drinks. And then we're like, you know what? Let's have something else. Let's 4 hours have gone
Yeah.
by and we're
Yeah.
just happy as hell.
And the thing is, you're not like stuffing your face the whole time trying to get through the meal. You're like savoring each part of it. And that's, again, a cultural difference that I don't think Americans get. Like, we're eating at our desk while we're working, We're like eating a granola bar in the car driving to work. We're not really focusing on the food. Like, I feel like I had to relearn how to eat. And going to Italy sort of helped me do that. It sounds weird, but they eat differently than we do.
They totally do. Okay, so a couple of things. Simon and his 6-pack and his no carbs and no pasta, like literally, you should see my notes here. No pasta, exclamation mark, WTF.
Yeah. That's basically what I was thinking too. Simon is kind of based on the friend that I went to Rome with, and he was ripped. Like, it was not a bad situation for me. And so he like didn't want bread and didn't want pasta. And I'm like, we're going to Italy. There's going to be pasta and bread. And so he did end up breaking that rule. Like, it's impossible not to. They have bread served at every meal. But yeah, he was all about protein. He's like big buff dude. And so I tried to make Simon like that also. He wanted, the meat, the prosciutto and the pork and everything. But, you can't turn down a plate of pasta carbonara when it's in front of you. So.
Okay. So my buddy, same thing. He's the one who actually helped. So, okay. My buddy is a little bit like Simon in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, his wife and his 3 boys were already at their next place. So he was by himself. And I got there and it did look like a beefcake bachelor lived there. He had creatine, like ginormous tubs of creatine, whey protein.
Yeah.
I opened the cabinet and it was packets of tuna and packets or a ginormous thing of cashews.
Mm-hmm.
And so same thing. It was all about good fats, good proteins. And he had a pull-up bar as you went into the kitchen. And I was just like, I'm all, what is all this?
Where are we?
Yeah, I was like, dude, what is going on here? Like, I don't understand. And he was like, every time I go into the kitchen, I do 10 pull-ups. And I'm like,
Oh
okay.
my
And he's
gosh.
like, and then when I leave the kitchen, I do 10
What?
pull-ups.
Okay, I applaud him, but I'm going to continue to live my life my way.
And
But that's hilarious and I love everything about that.
and like I said, he worked at the embassy, and so he would bike. Sometimes he would bike, so
Mhm,
he wouldn't always. So sometimes he would bus. He would take the bus, so he had to walk.
mhm,
Because the bus wasn't really close. And same thing, where he stayed, where he was living, it was up on a hill, and he would always walk up the stairs. He wouldn't, even when he had groceries, he would still walk up the stairs. I think he was on the third floor. So he had this mentality of always walking, always,
mhm.
trying to work out, things of that nature. And again, he ate pizza for dessert with me after a steak. So he was normal in that regard.
Okay,
But
good.
he's the one who actually turned me on to fitness, because
Hmm.
I didn't understand fitness. I did again, he helped me fall in love with food again. And I know that sounds silly, but it was only because I was so sad that I didn't have a good relationship. Like I said, food, I didn't care. Coffee, however, coffee
Yeah.
was always there,
Hmm.
but he helped me fall in love with food again and realize, okay, this is good. Like, it's not good food, bad food, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, like I said, and when I saw all of the tubs, and he had this tight, it was tight. He had a buddy who was doing the Titan plan. And
Hmm.
he had like this sheet of paper, and he sent me home with a sheet of paper and a whole bunch and I didn't understand it. I did not,
Hmm.
I was like, I don't know what any of this means. As far as I'm concerned, this is Arabic. And then I got a personal trainer when I came home. And then I was like, oh, DB means Dumbo. Got it. Okay.
Now I get it.
Oh, oh.
There's a
And
learning curve, with any new endeavor. So you got to learn the terminology.
yeah, yeah. I was like, what is a DB, and what's a fly, and what is like? I didn't understand any of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what was really cool was, because he was into fitness, he got me into fitness, and
Hmm.
then he, as a surprise, he and I, I'm getting ahead of myself. He and I would work out together. We would FaceTime, and we would work out together, and he got shredded for his wife.
Yeah.
He wanted to surprise her
He's
because
lucky.
right? She texted me and she was like, "Thank you for going to Rome."
That's awesome.
I was like, "Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome." Yeah, and he would send me progress pics all this. He's all, Gianna is, and he would like do like this arm thing. He's like, Gianna is gonna be so happy, and he would like do this arm thing. Oh, and then what was really cute was, he would hold my backpack. So like when we were in Cinque Terre, he's like,
Mhm.
give me your backpack. And he would like furl the backpack. And I'm like, oh my God. And then he's like, I'm your bodyguard, okay? Like, we're gonna act like I'm your bodyguard. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
I love this man.
Like I said, he is my brother. He's the brother I never had.
Hmm.
And we had so much, like when I first got there, I was sad. And I was just explaining this to my friend. He was taking pictures of me at the Trevi Fountain and all of these places. And I was like, stop. You can literally see it on my face. I'm like, stop taking pictures of me. I don't want to
Yeah.
take pictures. Like, I just wasn't in that mood. Like, I
Yeah.
was sad, and I was, trying to find myself again.
Hmm.
By the end of the trip, we were taking the silliest, goofiest, happiest pictures of each other, with each
Hmm.
other, on the bus, on the subway, on the train, just goof. Just like when we first met, he was 19 and I was 23 when we met.
Hmm.
And it was like we went back in time. It was like we became children again, if you will.
Yeah. Oh my
And
God, I love
he did
that.
that. He did that with food and the
Yeah.
city and all of that.
Yeah.
So that's why your book was really awful. Because I got to relive all those memories again. And
Yeah.
it gave me such joy. So thank you for that.
Oh my gosh, you are so welcome. Thank you for reading it, and I'm so happy that you enjoyed it. I think for any writer, putting your story out there, like once you're writing it and it's just you and the manuscript, it's a safe space. But then you put it out in the world, and you don't know how it's going to be received, you don't know if people are going to get it. So I'm so happy to hear that you got it. Like you understood it. You felt it. So thank you.
Yes,
I should be
yes, yes.
thanking you.
We're here for each other.
Yes.
That's what we do. That's what we do. So that being said, now that we have finally talked about connect, so we connected a long time ago. We've been
Mm.
building up to this moment, and for me to read your book and your baby, like you said, and just so thank you for taking me back down memory lane and laughing and sharing and feeling all of the, food is love and all of the joy. So my questions, a couple of questions for you. Do you
Mm.
anticipate doing a continuation of this story, or do you feel that you're going to be doing some more books? What can we expect from you, Laura?
That is a very good question. You're not the first person to sort of pose that question of continuing this particular story. At the moment, I don't have a plan to do like a sequel or anything, but I do think there is total potential to have maybe April Appleby go to Paris or go to Scotland or Ireland or Spain and sort of have like different culinary experiences, along the way. Maybe Simon joins her for those too. I don't know. There's no solid plan for that yet. And I'm proud of this book, A Recipe from Rome, because the experiences, like I touched on earlier, are based on real experiences. So I went there and I got to feel it and taste it and smell it and hear it and experience it, and touch everything, and see the Statue of David and see the Sistine Chapel and smell the fresh garlic and all that. So I feel like I would need to like go to all those places to make the sequel be just as authentic feeling. And it would be a great excuse to go take a trip. I am, however, working on my next book. It has nothing to do with A Recipe from Rome. It's a totally different book with totally different characters. But I'm really, really excited about this next book. It doesn't quite have a title yet, and it's in the very early stages. Like I'm almost done with the first draft, and I'm actually not even calling it a first draft. I'm calling it a rough draft because it is awful right now. You know what I'm talking about. The first draft, or draft zero, this is draft zero for me. You're just putting like words on a page, and there are typos and incomplete thoughts, and there's not even a full-fledged plot yet, but it's coming together. And so I'm going to start working on the next draft probably within the next month. And that's when the story is going to really start to come together. So there will be another book for me. It'll be another novel. It will probably be more a grittier literary fiction novel. A Recipe from Rome is, I would describe it as like a commercial fiction romantic comedy. It's destination read, it's armchair travel. You feel like you're on vacation in Rome. It's feel good. The next book is going to be a little bit grittier, I'll say.
I like that. I like it. That's awesome.
A little bit of a departure, but I think people will still like it. I mean, if you liked A Recipe from Rome, you'll like the next book too. I think as a reader myself, I don't read just one type of book. You might read true crime one minute, and then you might read a rom-com the next, and then you're reading a biography of somebody after that. It's just whatever interests you. So, I know there's a lot of authors out there that write in the same genre. I don't think I'm going to be that type of author.
I love it because I'm right there with you. Like I can totally relate to that. I wrote, so I wasn't even planning on doing a book. I too had same situation. I was journaling while I was there. I was journaling to try to get through my whole, life and things of that nature. And journaling really helped. Writing really helped. And then I was doing my blogs from overseas, and the blogs just kind of turned into a thing. And I was like, you know what? I can put this together and it tells a story. And so prior to that, I started this magical realism book in my head, like 9 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, I have no idea where I'm going with this and why I feel compelled to write it, but I do want to write. And so same thing, finally, because I've been talking with guests like you, I finally started writing. I'm like, and it's awful. It's exactly what you just said. The thoughts are there. They're on the screen. There's no rhyme or reason, but it's literally, I'm going, okay, like if I could put a hose from my forehead to my computer,
Yeah,
that's literally what's happening. It's just
totally.
siphoning words into a
Right.
screen. That's
Up
just
here, the book is complete and it is awesome. It has won a Pulitzer, but on the page right now, it's a little rough. But I mean, if you have never written a book, like you don't understand that. This was the first book I wrote, A Recipe from Rome, first book, and I always thought an author wrote a book and then it was done. Like you wrote it and then it's there. It's perfect. And that's not how it is at all, because a book is like 300 plus pages or however long it is. And you have to transition and you have to build the character development. And, you know, there's structure to a story. A well-told story has structure to it. And there's all these different tricks to the trade. And so I didn't really know that going into this. Now I know it, and I'm hoping the next book won't take me as long to write. But yeah, the first draft is just like, nobody should ever see anybody's first draft ever, because you would not want to read the finished product. If I showed you the first draft of A Recipe from Rome, it had a different title, by the way. It had Spaghetti Friendship as the title, which I still kind of like, but I don't think people would have really understood what the heck that meant. You know, it goes through an evolution. Like a book has so many different, I think I have about 20 to 25 drafts of A Recipe from Rome.
wow.
Which is insane. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think that's typical for most authors. Like maybe it is. I don't know. Again, first book. But it goes through an evolutionary process, and each draft it gets a little bit better. So by the end, it's readable and maybe even enjoyable.
Yes, it most definitely was. Absolutely. I thoroughly
Thank you.
enjoyed it. I'm so glad we got a chance to talk about it. We
Me too.
finally got a chance to talk about food and the amazingness that is Italy. Like, yes.
It's an incredible place. Anybody who's listening or watching this, if you ever get the opportunity to go to anywhere in Italy or anywhere in Europe, really, there's so much history out there and culture. It's so different from America. I love America, don't get me wrong, but like, it's just it felt like, it didn't feel like I was in another country. It felt like I was in another world and another time.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
go. Like, if you get the opportunity, go. You will not regret it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that being said, like I said, this could turn into a 5-hour podcast of us just hanging out together. It would be us, you know, doing our thing. This goes back to the time, because time stands still when you're having fun and enjoying. And in this case, you know, I'm drinking my coffee with you.
Mm-hmm.
So
cheers.
Cheers to that. So I'm in. If you decide to do a croissant crawl, I'm in.
Oh, yes.
If you decide to do a pierogi perusal,
a pierogi parade,
pierogi parade, whatever, please add me to your ARC reading list.
Yes.
I'm there. I'm 100% in. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for hanging out. I'm so glad we finally got a chance to connect.
Me too. Thank you for having me, and thank you for reading the book, and thank you for supporting independent authors and other creatives. Your show is such a great support system for people who don't have the resources to be on like ABC, you know, like national TV or whatever. Like, you are a rock star, what you do, and we all appreciate it. So, and you're just so delightful. Like, thank you for being an awesome person.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I'm like I said, we're twins as far as we are same. So thank you so much.
We're the same.
We are. We're BFFs. Totally. So, would you please say the tagline? And I know you don't have to say it in Italian because I don't even know what that would sound like. But would you please say my tagline of "Go forth and be magical"?
Go forth and be magical.